So the aftermath, what is left to cover? Well, I'm not going to play it for you because I've held you so long. Did you all hear the video where President Trump admitted that there will be a peaceful transition? He didn't concede, and then he said it's so important that we focus on uniting. Did you all see that, or do you want to see it? I've got it here if you want to see it. Let me know. It's 2 minutes long, and we can talk about it if you want to. I also have that President Trump has announced that he is skipping the inauguration. My attempts to be fair and to not get caught up in emotion with this man are dwindling for sure. He's just a child. He is a big, giant baby. You talk about how you want to unite the country, and then you're going to skip town before the inauguration? It just blows my mind. The man who on his behalf, people have been calling other people snowflakes for years. Who's the snowflake? Who is the snowflake? Chris says, I'm glad he won't be at the inauguration. I am too. He would want all of the attention. Well, that's why he can't be there. Because it's not about him. It's not about him. We had a couple of people ask to hear it, so I'm going to play it. Sorry, here it comes.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have just been through an intense election and emotions are high, but now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. We must get on with the business of America. My campaign vigorously pursued every legal avenue to contest the election results. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. In so doing, I was fighting to defend American democracy. I continue to strongly believe that we must reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters and to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation. 2020 has been a challenging time for our people. A menacing pandemic has upended the lives of our citizens, isolated millions in their homes, damaged our economy, and claimed countless lives. Defeating this pandemic and rebuilding the greatest economy on earth will require all of us working together. It will require a renewed emphasis on the civic values of patriotism, faith, charity, community, and family. We must revitalize the sacred bonds of love and loyalty that bind us together as one national family. To the citizens of our country, serving as your president has been the honor of my lifetime. And to all of my wonderful supporters, I know you are disappointed, but I also want you to know that our incredible journey is only just beginning. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
This is Barry. Barry says, somebody said he read it like a hostage might read a statement he was forced to read. He did not want to do this. That's pretty obvious. Because suddenly he's saying all the right things, except for the lie that he called out the National Guard. We know that that's not true. and he was only trying to make sure there was integrity in the vote. Do any of you believe that? Was that his real intent? He was just trying to make sure there was integrity in the vote. I've had a couple of people texting saying that the election was rigged during this particular podcast. They still believe it was rigged. I've got one piece of evidence that I will put on the screen that immediately gives people a little bit of pause when it comes to the president's claim about election fraud. I'll just put it up here on the screen. It's kind of fun. This was 2016. Let's remember back when the president had access to Twitter. And this is what he tweeted after he lost the Iowa caucus to Ted Cruz. Do you remember this? It says, based on the fraud committed by Senator Ted Cruz during the Iowa caucus, either a new election should take place or Cruz results nullified. If you believe that there was election fraud, you got played. That's what happened. It's plain and simple. You got played. He's been claiming election fraud since 2012. You got played. And the sooner we all wake up and realize that, the better. Let's see. This is G-Hub says, if he was trying, then he did a pretty poor job of it. No court submissible evidence. I know. He never even alleged in court that there was fraud. Do you know that? In not one of his court filings did he use the word fraud. His filings, with his name on it. This is Patrick. Patrick says, I love the cutaway when he goes on about a peaceful transition. I think that took him a couple of takes. Yeah, I agree with you. This is Orion. He sounds like a 10-year-old being forced to recite poetry. Meanwhile, those people who carried his water for 4 years, I've said this now for 3 days in a row, that what you didn't realize about President Trump, when you support somebody who has no moral line, they have no ethical line, and you continue to support them and you don't stand back and say, that's not right, you need to stop that, I don't support you, you've pushed too far, and you continue to move with him and you continue to defend with him and you continue to assault people or saying, wait a minute, that's too far. There will come a point when the line gets pushed past even your standards, even though you've been moving the line with him. And who has that happened to? Oh my goodness. William Barr? Mike Pence? Have you been on TikTok? Have you seen everybody on TikTok calling Mike Pence a traitor because he followed the Constitution? He carried the president's water for 4 years. And here comes that line. You can see it coming. Where even Mike Pence had to say, nope, that's too far from me. Did the president say, oh, I understand. Let's agree to disagree. I still love you, though. No, they haven't talked. Did you know that? They haven't talked since it happened. Mike Pence is dead to him. Again, the actions of a child. And what happens when you're somebody like that? You've carried the water for Trump for so long. So many of these people, when they were running against Trump or when Trump was running, they said the truth about the president and his actions. But then when the president was elected, then suddenly they saw how much support the president was getting. So they compromised their principles and they carried the president's water for 4 years. And then in the end, they couldn't go as far as the president wanted them to. And so now they are seen by all of these Trump supporters as traitors. This is Lindsey Graham trying to go home in the airport. Oh, that's
You traitor! You traitor! You traitor! You're a traitor! Lindsey Graham, you are a traitor to the country! You know it was rigged! You know it was rigged! You know it was rigged! You garbage human being! It's gonna be like this forever, wherever you go for the rest of your life!
This guy carried his water, man. When you support somebody who has no ethical line, eventually the line will come to you and you'll say it's too much. And then all of your support, everything that you've done, will be thrown back in your face. This is Yuri, you man, singing the wrong song. MAGA will come back stronger than ever. Hang on, I have to take a drink. I got choked up over your comment. MAGA has proven that it cannot generate the wide enough support that it needs to win the White House. So if MAGA comes back, it will only get shot down again. And so my recommendation to all conservatives and Republicans is to find somebody who can actually articulate conservative ideals, who can fight for conservative ideals, but doesn't create and foment so much anger on the left and in the center that they create more opposition than they create support. It's a simple mathematical equation. And I will continue to remind you that Ronald Reagan, who had a liberal media, who had extreme opposition, he won 49 states when he ran for a second term. It's because he didn't seek to divide. He sought to unite. But we see that as weakness now. And it's not. It's strength. It's real leadership. That's what we need to find again. That's what we need to find. Yuri says this was the beginning. With respect, Yuri, I don't know you. This was the end. This was the end for MAGA. Yuri says Graham went home with my donations. Yeah, he got pushed too far, pushed to a point where even he couldn't do it, couldn't carry the water for. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Lindsay is tough to feel sorry for. I agree. If you didn't see this coming, there have been those of us who have been saying that this was coming for 4 years. You know I've supported this president when I can. But it should have been pretty obvious to everybody from the beginning. He has no ethics. He has no moral fiber. He is only loyal to himself and victory. At all costs, at the detriment of the nation. And since I'm talking about it, I'll flash one other thing on the screen that describes Donald J. Trump, I think, perfectly. And who described Donald J. Trump perfectly? This man, George Washington. The disorders and miseries which result gradually incline the minds of men to seek security and repose in the absolute power of an individual. And sooner or later, the chief of some prevailing faction, Trump, more able or more fortunate than his competitors, Trump, turns this disposition to the purpose of his own elevation on the ruins of public liberty. That is what we saw on January 6th. That's what he brings. If that's the best we have, then we should be worried. Because Trump's legacy, if MAGA just got started, is we now don't have control of the House, the Senate, or the White House. Congratulations. And I know you're going to blame the media for that. You're not going to blame Trump and his actions. It's everybody else's fault but his. This is Katri, my sister-in-law. She says, I worry that it isn't the end of drama from Trump. Makes me think of Kingman. It's not the end of drama for Trump. He's going to try and keep himself relevant. But I believe that over the next few months and years, from all these people who are now realizing what he is and what they've supported, who have been around him in the White House, I believe you're going to see a barrage of people telling the true story of behind the scenes. And the hardcore MAGA supporters are going to say it's all fake news and these are all opportunists and they're all trying to get their day. But I think that and then you're going to have the legal battles from certain states. I think that it is going to get worse and worse and worse as we find out more and more and more about this man's lack of standards. It's just me. That's what I think. Yuri keeps bringing these. Trump has more black supporters than any Republican president. You realize that it was African Americans who delivered the vote to Biden, right? I mean, you can deal in terms of more all you want. But I would suggest instead of the word more, you use the word enough. Does he have enough? And the answer is no. Not in any way, shape, or form. This man, Donald Trump, created the greatest showing ever for an election on both sides. That's how divisive he is. So it's not about whether or not he got more of something. He got, 11 more votes than he got last time. Yeah, he got more. No, that's not the right question. The question is, did he get enough? And you're probably going to say, well, the election was rigged, so yeah, he got enough. Well, I've picked that apart forever. Go back and watch my other podcasts. The claims of election fraud failed. And again, he made the claims of election fraud against Ted Cruz in 2016. We got to stop that. Let's see. Pelosi called today for Trump to not have access to the nuclear codes. I don't know how you feel about that. Dominion Voting Systems is now suing Sidney Powell for defamation, a $1.3 billion lawsuit. Yeah, words matter when you don't have evidence. And this is Buzz. It was a fake election and you know it. Buzz, man. I should just do a broadcast where you hit me with every single election fraud claim and I tell you the truth about it. Because it's all been debunked. All of it. You want to do something, go back and listen to the Georgia State Republican election official. I think it was Monday when he went through every single voter fraud allegation against the state of Georgia, run by Republicans. And he picks it apart. And he talks about all of the fake news, all of the fake news coming from Trump and coming from Newsmax. You got nothing to stand on. And again, I will tell you, Buzz, if there was so much proof of election fraud, why didn't President Trump allege fraud in a court of law? He didn't. Not in a single court filing. And don't tell me it was because of biased judges. This is what he filed initially in the courts, where you state your case, you state what evidence you're going to present. He doesn't use the word fraud one time. But he sure likes to use it to you. Sure likes to gin you up with those words. But he couldn't use it in a court of law? All those affidavits? Come on, you're getting played, man. You're getting played. Hook, line, and sinker. From a guy who claimed election fraud twice in 2016. They spent millions of dollars on a commission to find that voter fraud. Couldn't find it. Now he's claimed all this voter fraud, and suddenly everybody on the internet became an election expert, and they believe anything that Rudy Giuliani tells them, when Rudy's getting sued now by Dominion as well for defamation. It's just too much. In order to believe, I don't even want, it's just remarkable. It's just remarkable. Why would you believe a claim of voter fraud from a known liar who has lied about voting fraud since 2012? Why would you do that? If it was somebody on the left doing it, I can tell you what you would have said. I can tell you what you would be saying right now. It's just a load of nonsense. Department of Homeland Security, most secure election in United States history. Mike Pompeo, no voter fraud. William Barr, no voter fraud. United States intelligence, no voter fraud. Each recount, each state investigation, no voter fraud. But they're all wrong, and the great Donald J. Trump is right. It's just too much. Just too much. Sasquatch must be involved somehow. And then finally this. Airline attendants have been complaining about how they have been treated by Trump supporters to and from Washington, D.C. So much so that the Flight Attendants Union has come out and complained. They said, quote, "This week we witnessed an outbreak of violence at the U.S. Capitol, forcing an evacuation while lawmakers were attempting to certify the Electoral College count. We also experienced multiple incidents on various flights headed to Washington, D.C. During these incidents, some of which broadcasted over social media, flight attendants were forced to confront passengers exhibiting politically motivated aggression towards other passengers and crew. This behavior is unacceptable, and flight attendants should not have to deal with these egregious incidents." What has President Trump made us ultimately? Are we more united or are we more divided? Are we more hate-filled and anger-filled? Or are we better? Are we better than we were? His legacy is division. You know, it's remarkable to hear people associate Christianity with this man. You think that this nation, you think that Trump supporters are displaying Christianity? You feel like somebody would look at President Trump and say, man, if that's what Christianity is, I'm all in. Come on. Well, that Yuri's still going. How many votes Biden? Wait, let me see. I didn't see your comment before that. Yeah, go back and listen to Monday's podcast, Yuri. Every single one of them debunked. I've spent so much time looking into each election claim, each fraud claim. It's remarkable. And it's so funny to me. I've covered elections for 20 years. And suddenly on November 3rd, everybody woke up and they became an election expert. You don't know squat about elections. That's the truth. Is that all these people upset? They don't know how elections work. They're shown a video. For example, the video of the suitcases coming out from under the table. The video that was edited by the Trump administration. The video that Georgia has since put the entire thing up on their website so that you can watch the whole thing and you know that the suitcases were conducted properly and were part of the chain of custody and why they were put there in the first place. You have to want to know what the truth is. But when you decide ahead of time that voter fraud happened, you open yourself up to being manipulated. When you believe the allegation first, you are ripe to be played and manipulated. And that's what he did, to the point of a coup being carried out on the United States Capitol. Because he created a scenario where only he can be believed. And any regular investigation would reveal how those things are just a load of nonsense. Like the woman who testified that everybody thought she was drunk. And it turns out her job was to clean the glass of the voting machine. She had no knowledge of the process. She's a Trump supporter. She had no knowledge of what was in those voter rolls. Just spewing nonsense. Why? Because Trump said it happened. So she was going to find a way to prove it. It's nonsense. Man willing to destroy this country. So, and I don't think it was because he wanted to be president for 4 more years. I think it's because he can't stand losing. Plain and simple. I hope one day you wake up to the lies. Or that you actually go back and make an earnest, honest effort. Take every one of those allegations and make an earnest, honest effort to find out the truth behind them. You might get an education about how elections really work. And go back and look at since November 3rd, all of the claims and how everybody's like, see, this is that. And then it got debunked. No, now it's this. Now wait for that. No, now it's this. You got played. You got played, man. It's time for us all to wake up. Move on. Move on. Be better. Choose better. Be wiser. That's what I hope we learn from all of this. With that, my wife is probably wondering where I'm at and what have I been talking about for an hour and 50 minutes. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I love your comments. When I come back next time, I'm going to make it available to where you can join me via video chat if you want. And then we can have a more one-on-one conversation. I would love to be able to do that. So we'll go from there. Chris says, thanks, Jay. Have a great weekend. Everybody, let's do this one more time. So just so that we can cleanse, because I know I probably got some of you worked up a little bit more than you wanted to be on a Friday night. Should we end with an Aloha Friday?
It's Aloha
Everybody sing along.
Friday, no work till Monday. It's Aloha Friday, no work till Monday.
Yeah, everybody happy Aloha Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. I will be back with you on Monday.